Oh, yeah, baby. Here we go. I'm coming at you today with a live coaching episode. Now, these episodes are designed to help somebody who has thought about writing a book articulate their ideas, formulate their game plan, answer their questions, because I want you as a listener to know that you're not alone in wanting to write a book and you're not alone in not knowing where to begin. And so today's guest is a friend of mine, someone that I respect, someone that has built an absolute juggernaut of a business. And I want to introduce you guys to Katherine Horrigan. So Katherine, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me, Jake.
Of course. So let's dig into this real quick. Before we talk about all of the book stuff and all of that, let's do a little backstory just so people can understand where we're coming from so they're not caught off guard when we start digging into the book ideas. So, high level overview, what's your business today and what is the kind of like vision for the future?
Sure, absolutely. And the quick background story is I was a professional dancer and have had opportunity to transition out of that career a couple times. So from dance performer on the stage to then choreographer to teacher, these are normal transitions when you're retiring in your 20s, as you have to, just like professional athletes do, right? So in that transition, I gained experience as a manager and a director of a dance school and also ran my own nonprofit dance company. And then during COVID, opened my own business and my own dance school. So we're just finished, completed 3 years of the school and have grown every year and now adding a second location shortly. So yeah, it's a brick and mortar business. Our framework is having as many students in a class that max out our class capacity and run a full school year and summer program.
Amazing, amazing. So here's what I take away from this, just as we start to transition into it. You have the experience. You've done it at the highest level. You have taught it. We got emojis popping up. For those of you that are watching this on video, we got emojis just randomly popping up on the screen here. But you've done the experience at the highest level. You've then taught, and then now you've become an entrepreneur, leveraging the skill set that you had as a doer, the skill set you've had as a teacher, and now you're developing and growing this empire of a business, right? So when you think of a book, why does a book interest you at this moment of your entrepreneurial journey?
Great question. Well, how do I continue to create impact and do more for others? I think a main point in all my transitions is that I've sought out support, help, guidance, mentorship, coaching, and examples of how other people have done it. There's no one way to go about these transitions from professional dancer to what is the next step and stage in your life and career. And then it's having that guidance and examples that are really useful. So I want to be able to give back to others. I've always been a teacher and a coach. And so something that also really lights me up is that I've gotten to do it in the classroom, but now I would love, and I have already had that opportunity to coach on business and what I've learned as I've grown my own business and company. So those are some reasons that I think would be really interesting to support others.
Okay, awesome. So impact is like your driving force.
Mhm.
Okay. And so when we look at that, like, who do you envision wanting to create the impact for? Is it for former athletes and dancers who are looking for a second career? Is it for the entrepreneur who's building a studio or a dance academy? Or is it for the young people that you have as members in your academy? Who do you envision the core audience of the people you want to impact?
Well, it's so interesting because all parts of my story, I could highlight a certain part of my life that would support one of those audiences, right?
Yeah.
So all of those are former versions of myself as I've evolved. So that's also been maybe a challenge in trying to narrow that down, like who would I serve best and who is the right audience for me at this point in my life, and what do I like to talk about now? Because a couple of years ago it would have been different than it is now, and what I enjoy. but who can I serve the best? I think if I go back a little bit and think, a former version of myself, sure, that those transition points in my life from career to the next stage, I think is a vital opportunity for coaching and guidance and leadership for others. But I love talking about business and supporting others in business development, because that's really what I'm into right now. I also wonder at times whether I should niche down into very specific, let's talk to dancers or former dancers, or broaden it up to women or anybody that are transitioning in their careers, maybe from corporate to wanting to start their own business, and they have an idea and they want to launch it, but they don't know how, and have their own fears and challenges with getting started. So those, I guess, are things I need to still work out.
Awesome. Awesome. And let's work it out here. Like that's what this is all about. So
Yeah.
when we think about where you want to go, right? We talked about, you want to make impact. We talked about some of the things that intrigue you about writing a book. When you think of writing this book and you think 2, 3, 4 years ahead,
Mhm.
what do you see this book being able to do for you? And what is that like ultimate vision? Is it to have a bestseller? Is it to inspire the next generation? Is it to open a business coaching thing on the side of your existing businesses? Is it to speak on how you've done it? What for you is like that core vision of, I have this book, here's what I'd like it to do for me?
Yeah, all of the above on some level, right?
Okay.
I think that it could be served as a way to show my expertise as a entrepreneur, and I think that would be, I would, like I said, I love coaching, so I think that would be a key element to show what I've learned and what I could do to help support others in their own business growth and journey. And sure, as an example, right, and leader in the industry, how do I help motivate and inspire others? I think there's something in the arts world that also, for, since my community and my customers are parents, and hey, they get into the arts thinking this is good for your little kid and it's fun for now, but how does this translate into your life and skills for life? And so there's a ton I could speak on the benefits of a dance education, just like a sports education. When you're doing this at a high level, what does this do for you in your pursuit of any goal that you have in your life? And when you're high level, and I'm in an affluent community, every parent wants the best for their kids. So there's a lot I could speak on that area as well, as far as how my own transition has led me to my goals and achievements. And this can be an example for how anyone who's pursuing art as a student, how they take that into their profession.
Okay. I love this. What I'm hearing is crystal clear is that you have multiple books, right? And you have
Okay.
multiple opportunities here. And so if we were to try to boil this down, okay? And this right now, I'm not asking you to put yourself in a box, but I am asking you to make a gut reaction to this question. If there was only one person that you could serve, the dancer, the parents, or the aspiring entrepreneur, which person would be your gut reaction to want to support the most?
Mm, I think it's going to be the aspiring entrepreneur right now.
Okay. Okay. Now let me ask you this. Do you think, based on that, do you believe that you have enough knowledge? I already know my belief on this for this question, but I want your belief on this question. Do you believe that based on what you've already done in your journey, you have enough to share with an aspiring entrepreneur to help them lay the foundation to build a successful business?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I mean, I couldn't agree more, by the way. Okay.
I mean, it's hard
Like,
to, I think all of us probably have that question of, but there's so many books out there like this. So what's different about what I've done, and how can I, say, is there something new and different about what I have to offer, and how I went about it? So I say yes, but there's that side of me questioning whether, you know, what I have to say is different or better.
okay. And this is a really important thing that you just mentioned, because this is often a belief that stops us from speaking to the right audience. And so If I were to ask you, do you believe that you could help a dancer achieve more success as they grow up and as they become, more educated, as they become more experienced in life? Do you feel that you could answer that more or less confidently than the previous question I just asked?
Super confidently, no problem.
Okay, so this tells me, okay, reading between the lines, this tells me that there's definitely more of an inclination for you to help the aspiring entrepreneur, because that was your gut reaction and there's a block around that. Which means if we remove the block, it's going to be even more of a visceral reaction to that question.
Okay.
So a lot of people, when they're trying to write a book, they question, have I done enough? Do I have enough success? What metric it makes me qualified enough to teach this, right? Which is probably right around that block that you're starting to experience. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Well said.
Okay. And so with this, I want to lay out a few ground rules for you and for everyone that's listening. If you've ever had this feeling, number one, first and foremost, you do not need to be the best in the world at what you do to help somebody get a result. You need to be 1 to 2 steps ahead of where somebody is currently at to help them get the result they need at that given moment.
Mm.
And so for you, if I were to ask you this, you may be concerned that you can't get an aspiring entrepreneur from where they're at to a multiple 7-figure business. Maybe you're hesitant around that. But can you get an aspiring entrepreneur from where they're at to building a revenue generating business? For sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So now what we've just done is we've reframed the where I need to take them to where you're confident you can take them. Mm-hmm. That right there is taking someone on a journey from a 1 to a 5 or a 1 to a 10, but both of those are life-changing to the person who is the aspiring entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm. Great.
And that is really, really critical to recognize in yourself, is that you can get them there. You can teach them what's worked. Here's a second rule that I want you to think about. When you are writing a book and you are taking your experiences and your lessons, we often ask ourselves, well, am I the only one who can leverage from this audience and experience? And the truth of the matter is that what's worked for you will likely work for someone else. The more that you know yourself and the more you know who you're aiming to serve, the easier it is to bridge the gap on the information. Mm-hmm. And therefore, you have the experience, you have the knowledge. All we have to do is combine the two to create the magic that is that book. Awesome. Are you feeling more confident related to being able to write a book that could help the aspiring entrepreneur?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Questions come up for sure. I think, what about that niching down to my specific industry versus something?
That's exactly where I want to go next. So now we're talking about the aspiring entrepreneur. Okay. So when you look at that, let's dig in a little bit deeper. What type of business? There are ways that we can categorize this and niche it down, right? You can have it based on a revenue objective. You could have it based on an industry objective. You could have it based on a individual identification objective, right? So for example, former dancer or athlete turning into any type of entrepreneur. You could have it be an entrepreneur to build a 7-figure business. You could have it be an entrepreneur growing a brick and mortar. You could have it be women who want to start dance studios. Right. What for you, and there's pros and cons to all of those, what for you like hits or pulls or makes you like, I really want to focus on this group of people?
Right. And I probably have to work out a little bit. How do I, things that I know from my industry, what crosses over, say, to other brick and mortar, which is probably the most relevant. I'm sure there's things in sales that probably go across the board, no matter what, right? But I think the things that I will speak on with developing community and relationships and trust, and how we served and how we got to 7 figures so quickly really was related to being a brick and mortar. So probably I would go in that direction, but there might be ways in which it doesn't have to. I think I'd feel most confident having the most to say specifically to someone in the dance field for a dance studio. And there's so many different ways to develop a dance studio or school, but wondering if that would be too narrow and also could cross over to anybody who's developing a sales service based brick and mortar, right?
Okay, great. So we've now very clearly in the way you answer that, you identified the type of business that you want to narrow this niche down by. It's not based on the individual, it's based on what they're trying to create. And there are three levels essentially that I heard you talk about. There is the very niche dance studio, how to build a 7-figure dance studio. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's the second, how to build a 7-figure, for lack of a better term, brick and mortar in the arts, whether it be a cheer studio, whether it be a dance studio, whatever, gymnastics, gymnasium, whatever it may be, right? And then there's,
because you're thinking, the way you're mentioning it now, we go into the whole kids activity industry, right? That's a broader,
right, way better description of what that niche would be, right? But it's a little bit broader than the dance studio, but still narrow enough to where your expertise and knowledge is a direct translation, right? And then you have the general brick and mortar, which there's a lot of different types of brick and mortar. So the question that I have for you is, assuming you had an unlimited market for all of those, and again, I don't want you to go too niche just yet, but assuming there was a massive market for all of them, mm-hmm. Which one would you want to do right off the bat?
Kids activities or dance in the brick and mortar. Yeah.
Fantastic. So now, and again, this is just 25 minutes of us riffing, right? Like there's going to be a whole extra thing. Like when we work with people, we get really, really clear and laser focused. Right now, we're just giving you like a little bit to help you feel like, okay, I can do this. Like this feels more doable, right? So now let's say we have the kids activity. So now it's how to build a 7-figure business in the kids activity space. Again, we'll polish that up and get that dialed in. But how does it feel when I ask you this question? Katherine, you're about to embark on a book writing journey that is going to take your experiences of building a rapidly growing 7-figure dance studio, and you are going to help other aspiring entrepreneurs or even struggling business owners who want to grow a 7-figure business in the kids activity space. Do you believe that you could help them?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Do you want to help these people?
Yes.
And are these people, this is a very important question, are these people the type of people that are willing to receive help or invest in themselves so they can have the business?
That is a great question. I know I would be happy to receive it, but I'm not 100% sure that everybody's seeking that out naturally.
Okay. If they want to get to 7 figures, are they willing to receive it?
Yes.
Okay.
Because that's less common in a lot of these businesses.
And no matter what we do, no matter what we write a book on, we want to have a topic that it's not for everybody. My book is on how to write and launch a nonfiction book. If you don't want to write a nonfiction book, let's say you want to write a children's book, you want to write a fiction book. Sorry, this book isn't for you. Let's say you don't want to write a book. This book's not for you. So I've eliminated a good portion of the general population. And I've gotten very clear that this is for who it's for. So now we go back to your question. How many businesses off the top of your head, I don't expect you to have like an actual statistic from the labors of statistics, but how many businesses do you think there are? How many people do you think there are that are running a business in a kids activity space?
There are a lot. I mean, because I don't think my competition is just other dance studios, which there's a lot in my area. I think of karate, gymnastics, tutoring, anything that a child will do after school.
Okay, this is it. This is it. The market's massive, okay? We thought we were going really niche, and it is very niche, but it's still massive, right? So now let's ask this question. You obviously run a very successful business. You're still going to run that business. But you also love the idea of being able to coach and help other people have thriving businesses as well. And this will become an additional part of what you do as a entrepreneur, right? When you help these people and you write this book, right? Let's play the game. Let's assume that was your topic. Let's assume you committed to that and you were excited about that. At the end of this, what do you want to be able to provide for these business owners? Do you want to have a membership? Do you want to speak? Do you want to train their teams? What is that outcome in this lane that you would like to see happen?
Oh, absolutely. I think besides one-on-one coaching to help people really deal with their issues and challenges, I think accountability groups, a community space for them. So that, yeah, a membership or community would be really ideal. And of course I could offer some more, let's go in and deal with what's going on, troubleshoot, problem solve, culture building with teams, structuring teams, all that. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've just created 3 additional ways for you to build your brand and business as an entrepreneur based on the idea of creating one book. Do you see that?
Great. Right. So it's a funnel for these additional opportunities.
So now you have the book, because the first question I asked you was, why are you even thinking about it? You said you want to impact these people, right? All the people that you had talked about that we've narrowed down, that we've gotten really clear up to this point, the number one thing was that impact. Well, now what you're going to have here is you're going to have a book sharing your knowledges to the 7-figure kids activity business. That's going to impact a lot of people, because every single city in this country has those exact things, camps, everything, like literally everything, every activity that's after school, every single city has those. The amount of books you can get in hands for impact is massive. The ripple effect of those people reading your book is not just that they're going to get wealthy, but it's they're going to have better experiences to provide for all the kids they serve, which is going to create a better generation of leaders, which ultimately will continue to trickle on and on and on. That's a million person impact that you can have by writing this book. Then you're going to be able to have the additional revenue streams to build upon your business to create more and more and more. But you only have to do the work once to have all of these things. Do you see how doing it one time and helping these group of people helps the kids and generates revenue for them and generates revenue for you and creates additional revenue streams?
Yes. And then I think of all the jobs that are created too with that, because if they're building their businesses, they're hiring just like I'm hiring. So yeah, it gives a longevity to the companies, but also to the generational impact for people that get jobs.
Amazing. And here's one of the coolest things about you being this person to write this book is you've done it, but you're continuing to be in the trenches of growing yours. And what that does is that allows you to do what we call the Come With Me book, which basically is, hey, this is what's worked for me. I'm still doing it. I'm still learning, but I'm going to share with you what's gotten me to here. And I want you to come along with us so we can both have success, which is a very different approach than, look at me, how great I am. I did this. You should do it too. It's a different sense of relatability, so that anytime you're like, well, I'm not completely done. I didn't sell this yet. I haven't finished my dream of having multiple locations at all these different things, or whatever that big dream is. Well, the coolest part about it is you don't have to have it done in order to still make that impact that you want to have today.
Nice. Love that.
Cool. Okay, so as we kind of start to come full circle here, is there any more questions that you might have related to a potential idea for your book, or related to, what you would want to gain from the book, or anything at all related to the book and the process of how you would do it?
Sure. Do you find that readers want tactile steps, frameworks? Are those things that need to be laid out in a way so it feels very educational? Or do you think it's more story format in my case, or a mix?
It's a mix.
Mhm.
Okay. So one of the things that we've noticed when we help, tons and tons of people with their books, one of the things that we notice is if it's too tactical and only tactics, you're still gonna have a small percentage of people just like love that because they're gonna be like, oh yeah, give me the tactics. But you're gonna have a large population that's like, well, I need the emotion. And then vice versa. If you only do stories, it's gonna be like, okay, cool, but like, how do I do this? It's nice that you did it, and I believe you build belief, but you don't build know-how. And so what I love to do is when I think of a book, I love to combine the education, the tactics, with the experience, the story. And so when you can do it, let's say you're going to teach someone about hiring. You had mentioned that. And you're going to have a chapter on how to make your first hire, let's just say, or when to hire, or maybe there's all these subsections. Well, for each one of those, you're going to be able to teach them very tactically. You could even offer them a free downloadable job posting that you've used and interview process or interview questions. That's a free download, growing your list. And then you're going to tell a story of when you made your first hire, or when you made a hire of someone who didn't work out, or when you made the best hire ever. And those are going to support making you relatable and trustworthy and credible, but also showing that you know your shit and it's actually going to help them achieve the results they're looking for. That's how you combine the two.
Awesome. Amazing. That sounds so practical. And I've read books like that. That is exactly what touches on all those areas. The belief and the know-how. I liked how you put that.
I love it. Any other questions here before we wrap up today?
Let me think. What do you recommend our next steps when we start to go through this process after brainstorming?
Yeah. So the next step for you, okay, because for everyone it's a little bit different, but for you at the point where you're at, the next step for you would be to decide that you're ready for a book.
Mm.
That would be the next step, because this is great. And if you just started writing right now, you're going to hit a roadblock pretty quickly. So the first thing that I would encourage you to do is say, I'm committed to writing a book. Then the next step would be to find the right support, find the right accountability team, and then you would start outlining your book in much more depth. Then you would start writing it.
Got it.
So I'm big, just like athletes, right? Like with all of our athletes, you stretch before you warm up, before you play. When you write a book, we stretch, we come up with some ideas, we find our support, we find our team. You warm up, you outline, and then you play the game, which is writing the rough draft.
Amazing. So
Cool.
good. Love it.
Awesome. So, Katherine, I feel like not only are people going to want to learn how awesome you are from the business side of things from this, but they're also going to want to follow your potential book journey from here on out. So how do we connect with you? How do we continue to learn more about your story, your knowledge, your experiences? Where can we find you?
Sure. I'm on Instagram at Kat with a K, Kat Horrigan. And then my school is at Dance Academy VA. We're based in Virginia. So yeah, that's where it's beginning. And sure, if I start to do this, it'd be fun to share the journey with everyone.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, I've loved this. I mean, I always love chatting with you, but this was fun and awesome. So thank you for being here, and thank you for coming on the show.
You are so clear, motivating, inspiring. You make me feel, and I'm sure many people feel, like it's so possible and not overwhelming. So it's super exciting. I love how you break it down in a way that's just, yeah, obviously, of course we can do this. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Awesome.
awesome, Jake. Yeah, it's
I
so fun.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
So for everyone that just listened to this episode, do you like this format? Okay. Do you like the live coaching? Do you like to see? We've been getting a lot of feedback, and I want to make sure that we provide you with the most valuable episodes ever. So if you enjoyed this, let me know. And if you want to be on a live coaching episode, message me on Instagram at Jake Kelfer that you want to be part of one, and we will see what the schedule permits. We'll go through a little interview process, and then we will get you on the show. So with that said, make sure to follow Katherine. Make sure to support her on her journey. Make sure to encourage her, and make sure that your dreams don't sit by the wayside any longer. You got a story to tell. You got a message that needs to be heard. Write the damn book. All right. That's what I got for you today. See you on the next one.